I'm optimistic that we're going to have a significant bipartisan victory on the rescue plan here in the Senate tonight. I think it's important to remember this is about Main Street and not Wall Street. It's about unlocking the frozen credit markets and getting America's economy moving again. So I think you're going to see on display tonight the Senate at its best, rising above partisan differences, working together to begin to solve a major national problem, further underscored by the fact that the two presidential candidates, who also happen to be a member of this body, are coming back to support the package as well. So we anticipate that will be done no later than sometime tonight, and we hope that the House will move with dispatch and take it up and pass it as soon as possible.
Well, first off, I want to congratulate the leader, Senator McConnell, and Senator Reid for moving this so quickly and moving it in a bipartisan way, and I thank Senator Judd for his very bipartisan approach to how we evolved this package. I think it's important to appreciate the fact that Main Street is as well as address the needs to increase credit in our communities. And there are 4 or 5 areas where this package improved dramatically as a result of the efforts of the Congress at the table with the Secretary of Treasury. First, it has strong taxpayer protection. Every dollar that we bring in from these investments that we're going to make, and remember, this is not money out the window. We're buying assets, and we're going to resell those assets, and we're probably going to make some significant dollars. Every dollar goes to reduce the federal debt. There are other protections for taxpayers in here, too. Secondly, people will not be allowed to game the system. There will not be golden parachutes. There will not be high compensation in the sense that it'll get special tax treatment. In fact, it'll get negative tax treatment. So we've addressed the high compensation golden parachute area. Thirdly, we want to make sure that people stay in their homes. And we're going to end up with a fair amount of mortgage paper as a federal government. And we have structured this agreement so that we are going to work very hard to make sure that foreclosures do not occur, where people can pay a reasonable price to maintain their mortgage and stay in their home. And this is very logical that we can do this because we're going to be buying these mortgages and these assets at 20, 30% below their face market value, so we can restructure to keep people in their homes. And fourthly, we're going to have very strict and transparent oversight of everything that happens here, so the American public, the American taxpayer, and the investment community will know what's happening, and so that we're sure that the decisions that are made can be properly vetted. Thank you.
I'm going to address what briefly has changed since the beginning of this week that gives us optimism that this will come to a fruitful conclusion before the end of the week. First of all, as a result of the House action, there were a lot of communications with folks to find out what would be necessary to get more House members to vote for the package, and there were a couple of suggestions that were pretty prominent. One of which has been addressed by Chris Cox, the Chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, which refines how the mark-to-market rules are applied in a way that should substantially help, according to a lot of the folks that we've talked to. And that's important to a lot of House members. In addition to which, a lot of those folks were proposing that we needed to increase the amount of FDIC-insured accounts from $100,000 accounts to get it up to $250,000. And that is the change that's in the legislation that we will be voting on tonight, in addition, of course, to adding it again to the package that overwhelmingly supported the Senate 93-2, extending various tax provisions for the benefit of both businesses and individual Americans, especially related to the AMT. And the other major thing that's happened since the beginning of the week is, I think, a growing realization by folks throughout the country that not only is this situation a lot serious than they thought, a realization that came about when they saw about 10% of their stock holdings wiped out with one day of trading on Wall Street, but also the various entities, the various organizations in our communities that we've been visiting with, like our auto dealers and home builders and realtors and bankers and chambers of commerce and all of the folks that are involved in commerce in our states who we've been visiting with now have almost uniformly come back and said, you've got to get this done because we are beginning to feel the tightening of credit in our own communities. And when that begins to happen, when real folks in real communities begin to feel this tightening of credit so that business can't be done, then you know that there is going to be a change in public opinion. And so we're confident that the events that have transpired since the beginning of the week will make it easier for this legislation to pass, both the Senate and the House, and frankly begin to develop the consensus that we need in order to develop the confidence in our economy in the weeks to come.
Let me offer just one specific example of why we need to act today and why I believe the United States Senate will act today in a bipartisan way to begin to fix this problem. The National Tennessean reports today that the largest General Motors car dealer just south of Nashville turned down a third of the people who came in to buy a car for their auto loans. The New York Times reports today that across the country the number is about 63%, when normally the number is 63% of people who can get the loan, when normally it's 83%. What is happening is not directed at the stock market, it's directed at the credit market. What we have is, as most of us have said, a big wreck in the middle of the economic highway. And it's clogging up our payroll check, our auto loan check, our money for our mortgage loan or for our farm credit loan, and it can't get through the wreck, and the traffic, the economic traffic, can't be moving. The people of Tennessee didn't send me up here to stand around and look at a wreck in the middle of the economic highway. They expect me and my colleagues to get it off the highway as quickly as we can at the lowest possible cost to the taxpayer, and then we can have our philosophical discussion next week about how to prevent the next problem. That's what we will do tonight, I believe, and I congratulate Senator McConnell and Senator Reid and especially Senator Gregg and Judd for their good work over the last 10 days in coming up with a sensible response.